Hey, thanks for being here for this video that's going to cover how to take care of your tools. Really appreciate the fact that you've joined us in this particular course in our NRS membership. Thanks for being here. If you came here because you bought one of the tool rolls, thank you for buying a tool roll. I'll show you how we utilize ours, how I utilize mine. And I've got some tools that I've used that are rusty and rough and all that kind of good stuff. I'm going to show you how I do all that stuff. First off, just know any tool that is going to have carbon content, typically what's called a high carbon steel, is going to rust on you if you use it. And these tools right here all basically stay in the back of my truck. And this machete right here, Overland Machete from LT Wright Knives, is one of the worst about rusting, because I'll use it, throw it in the truck, and then I forget about it because it is the type of tool that can handle that. But if I allow these tools to just lay and rust and never do anything with them, they'll pit and it'll be very difficult to get that back out of there. So what I do is I usually start off, depending upon how difficult or how rough the rust is, I typically use just a basic piece of scouring pad of some sort to get most of that rust off. So if I start going about doing that and find, oh man, it's a little bit deeper than I expected, I actually keep sandpaper in here. Again, this is going to rough your tools up. They're not going to be pretty anymore, but you're going to get down and get all that rust out, which is going to be a necessary function in this particular case. So as you see there, with just a little bit of work, I've got nearly all those two big hunks of rust gone off that tool. So let's take a look at this machete and do the same thing. So again, this is the Overland Machete from LT Wright Knives. I have one of their Kydex holsters, and this belonged to a friend of mine who was in Army Special Forces. I ended up buying it from him because he had another, and I sent one of mine to a man tracking student. But you can see it's got a lot of rust on it where I had left it from the last time I used it. And just this scouring pad, and I'm getting it off my wax canvas so I don't cut it, is going to get rid of nearly all of that rust. So there's a little stubborn rust on the blade. Basically what I'm doing now is getting the rust, but I'm also in the process of dulling the blade. So I'm going to have to take the time to sharpen it, which is not a problem. So now I've got most of that rust off. And I'm both giving it a visual inspection and I'm feeling it too, to make sure that there's not extended rust and I need to get some more off the sharp side of the blade. We'll get that and get all of this off, and then we'll get her sharpened up. I got most of it knocked off now, and I'm just sort of fine-tuning some things. Just making sure I get all the rust off. You want to be careful. I think it's obvious, but you want to be careful that you don't cut yourself when you're doing this. So just always be aware of where the blade is, where the sharp side is. As you'll notice, I go pretty aggressively here, but when I get to that blade, I'm just kind of taking my time a little bit more to make sure I don't get cut. Because right here would be real easy for me to have my finger slide off and cut. And it might look like I'm going at it pretty aggressively, but I'm actually under a lot of control here to make sure I don't get cut. So now we have all the rust off. We've got most of the rust off, a little bit more right here. And man, right where the handle meets the blade is always a good spot for rust. I'll take the butt end of the spark, because it's got that angle on it, so I can get down in there real good with my scouring pad. Oh yeah, it looks a lot better. So yeah, everything's cleaned up good. Now it's time to get it sharp. So here's the issue. What do I use this for? Well, about an hour ago, I used it to put a bunch of river cane in the back of the truck. meaning I went out and cut a bunch of river cane down because I'm going to make some atlatl darts for a class. And one of the things that happens when I'm doing that is that I'm cutting at the base of the river cane, and this will go in the dirt. It's almost impossible not to. So one of the things I want to do is visually inspect the actual sharp portion of the blade to see if there's any dings in it. Another thing that I can do, and this is going to seem counterintuitive, is be real careful and put that on my thumbnail and run the sharp side all the way down my thumbnail. Now, what I did not feel is any dings in it. When I mean ding, and I'll be over exaggerating of this, there's a dip in the blade itself. There are none there because I do take care of the blade. If I had a ding, I would have to file that out. I would have to use a actual file. More often than not, I'll use a sharpening puck that I use on axes. I'm going to show you how to use that in just a minute. But I'll literally run down the edge of the blade with this to get it sharp where I need to. Now, here's what I know. This blade, and here's how I'm testing. This blade for a machete, I'm not talking about a knife, I'm talking about a big chopping tool. You don't want your chopping tools, whether it's an axe or a machete, to have a super fine edge on it because it's a chopper and the edge will roll and then you don't have an edge at all. So you want to get it sharp, but not razor sharp, if you will. I can feel that it's pretty sharp. So now really all I need is to strop it. I have these strops that we're selling that we picked up from Sagewood. So all I'm doing is taking that strop and I'm literally feeling the edge. So there's an edge right here. Get real close on it. I'll lay my strop on that edge and I feel for that because this angle is critical. I want to make sure that I keep that angle all the way through. Now, holding it up like I just did, trying to get it on camera for you is problematic because as you can see, I'm over-exaggerating. The blade is moving. So do what you can to stabilize the blade when you do this so it's stable and you can get a really good firm push with your strop. Trying to do the same amount on each side. Now, it's ready to go back in the truck. So what I'll do, and I don't have this on the table with me, what I'll do now is I'll put some oil on it. You can use gun oil, CLP, preservative oil. Sometimes I use nothing other than vegetable oil, particularly not on this one, but on knives that I might cut and eat, I'll put vegetable oil on it real lightly and then wipe off the excess, because if I put CLP oil on a knife that I'm going to eat with, now I'm eating the oil when I cut with it. So now I'm going to get some of this rust out of the sheath itself. When I get back to the truck, I'll put some oil on it. I'll have it in my sheath. And it'll be ready to go the next go around. Now I'm going to finish up the axe and I'm going to get it sharp because it's actually been used quite a bit. It's actually got a ding in it. So we're going to get that ding taken out. We're going to get all the rust off of it. And we're going to get it sharpened back up and ready to rock. So first things first, I'm just using my pad here. And you can get these in a grocery store if you want to, just a scouring pad like you have in the kitchen sink. Or you can get these pads at your regular home improvement store like Home Depot. They'll be in the paint section. Got the rust off of that one. A little bit more right here. We'll go down to the bottom. Rust off there. Not much rust there. And last not least, this side. And again, I'm just stabilizing it a little bit by putting it on the table. All right, now we're ready to get her sharpened up. It's going to be hard for Jennifer to pick this up on the camera, but there's a little ding right there, meaning there's a little dip. All right, so I got to get that out first. So this is going to hurt you when you watch me do this, but you can do this with a file. You can do this with an abrasive stone, but I want to just dull this up, basically. It's exactly what I'm doing. I've got to bring this edge back to even, meaning all the way down through here, there are no dings. So I do that, done. That's all it took, you all. That piece is gone. Now, let's sharpen it back up, and I'm going to show you a beginner's way of doing this that I really like. And even though it's a beginner, I do it quite often because it just makes it easier. I take a black marker, and I mark only the edge. And I'll do that on both sides. The reason I'm doing this is I'm getting ready to use my puck to sharpen. Put that back in my... Now, since I dulled it up, I'm going to use the rough side of the puck first, and then I'm going to finish it up with the smooth side. But all I do is I hold this steady, and I work in these circles. That helps me see, like right here, I did not have that real flat, and I missed that edge right there because you can see the marker is there. And I did that on purpose so y'all can see this. So what you do is you get this to where you can feel that edge, meaning I'm going to lay the puck on here so you can see it. I want to be able to do that and feel the edge and make sure that my puck is flat. And you can imagine this is fairly hard steel, so it's not quick on this side. Now I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Now, getting pretty close. So when I start fine tuning, I take my finger and put it right along the edge. Seems dangerous, but I'm not pulling it into the edge. I'm laying it there because I want to feel this puck on that edge. It helps me get it lined up so I can get a feel that I've got it where I need it. One of the pieces that gets missed most often is this piece right here. You want to make sure you get your puck all the way down to the beard section of your axe. Trying to do it evenly on both sides. So now I'm actually pretty close. I'm going to fine tune with the fine portion of the stone. You can hear the sound changes dramatically. I don't need to take as much off because basically what I'm doing, and it's wet, so it's hard to see you all. But basically what's happening is when I'm putting a stone on it, I am taking metal off. That's what we're doing. So we're really close. Jennifer and I came to Natural Bridge State Park today to get out of the house and not go to our normal spot. So you'll hear sounds you don't normally hear. Car horns and people that don't know what they're doing in the outdoors. Now, I'm going to take my strop. And I'm just using my strop to fine tune that edge. Now, let me get my other strop and I'll show you the other way, or the other one I use. So these little strops, I picked this one up from Tough Possum Gear. He sells this size. We sell one that's a little bigger than this. These are intended to be basically like EDC strops, where you can keep this in a kit, keep it in your pocket or whatever. From JRE Industries, we have the strop bat, which you can tell is a lot bigger. This is what I typically use. And what these are for is that you have different types of compound. What's happening with that is that, and here's what the compound looks like. It comes in several different types of bars, but I'll show you how I apply it to the bat. This is the green compound. So I just take my compound and rub it onto my strop bat. You can see they come in different grades. This is the white, this is none, and this is black. So basically what happens is that on a very small, nearly microscopic level, there's a lot of holes in this steel. And so what the strop bat gives you is that compound goes into those tiny little holes and fills them up. And again, it seems like I'm going quickly because I am. I've done this a zillion times, but I feel for that angle and I make sure that that angle is good to go. Now, I got an axe that's ready to cut. So let's take a look at the knives now. So let's take a look at two different grinds on knives. Both of these are ABL stainless. This is a Chamonix Companion, Tactical Companion. This is Chamonix. You've got a saber grind here, which is flat from here to here, and then there's an angle, and then there's another bevel down here that's the sharp edge. On the Scandi, you have flat from here to here, and then you have one angle from there to there. And this is something I'd like to point out. See how even this ABL has some rusting on it? That's because it's been sitting out here and it's gotten wet while I've been talking. So that is something that I will take a scouring pad and watch how easy, I'll wipe that off first. Watch how easy it is for me to get that off. Let's see. Gone. Okay. What's on the back? Gone. What's on this side? Gone. Now that should indicate for you that it's a relatively clean knife, but because it's out and it's gotten a little bit wet, and there's some more, and this is all forming while we're sitting here. It doesn't take much because ABL does have carbon in it, unlike all of the other very hard stainless steels, which makes them very difficult to sharpen for most people. Okay, but I can do the same thing with this, with the marker, and the same thing with the marker here on this small edge on the saber. But both of these knives are knives that I use a lot, so they get stropped a lot. Okay, meaning it's rare for me to have to put a stone on them at all. If I did have a nick, then I would use something like our stones that we sell at Nature Reliance School. And again, that's only because it has some sort of nick in it. Don't need to do that though. I can actually use the container as the strop, or I can use a strop that's designed to be just a strop, or I can use my strop bat from JRE. And again, I'm just looking to get on that angle and use it, or I can put the strop bat down and I can strop in this manner. Again, looking to have a stable base. And there's two ways to do this, obviously. I can work on that edge as if I'm slicing it off, or I can work on that edge and go backwards on it. You'll find the one that works for you. I like to show both so that you can find the one that works for you. Personally, I find that running it basically backwards works better for me. Now, my fingers are so cold I can't feel it. But yeah, now this knife is ready to go. I actually sharpened this one yesterday and stropped it, so it's ready to go. But that is the beginnings of learning how to sharpen. Here's what I need from you. Put in the comments below where you need some help. Hey, Craig, can you put this on video? And I'll put it on video. I'll also link to some other sharpening videos down below that I've done in the past that are out for the public. That way you can take a look at them too and do everything you can. I think I've got an article that I wrote for Field and Stream too on sharpening. So I'll link all that below so that we've got all those. Hope you get out, get your tools sharpened, get everything ready to rock for the next time you get out and do something with them. Come on, join in. Let's learn together.